How would you define chromatic improvisation? Chromatic improvisation in bebop language. This is the most common feature of bebop improvisation. But again, there's kind of common approach to understand chromatic improvisation, and again it's very restricted, it's very local, and just very short explanation about the chord structures and pitch relationship, and then but there's no contextual reference. Again, I mean, I know that I can feel that you are saying that okay, this guy is really addicted to contextual reference, but if you think about the whiteboard, right, and you have just 2 points, what is your reaction going to be? But you cannot have anything to think about, right? But if I draw a line between 2 points, 2 dots, and you can say that okay, there's a curve, right? This is contextual reference. That's why I'm always strongly pushing the limits about the contextual references, because when we have that relationship, our perception has the authentic quality. And then when you have the authentic quality, then you can have the bridge between the thinking and listening. And also, you don't need to memorize the stuff. You don't need to memorize all this like unrelated information. You can digest the information, and also you can transform that information into knowledge. This is, I mean, the main pedagogical issue about the learning process. That's why I'm always using this kind of relationship to understand and to apply it. And I had the same problem about the improvisation, because most common technique for the bebop improvisation, chromatic approach technique. And I'll explain chromatic approach technique. And also I applied in maybe more than 100 lines, but I didn't get anywhere. I didn't get any substantial relationship about the improvisation, because it's very mechanic, it's very limited explanation, and also there is no connection about the culture. Because when you analyze Charlie Parker's tunes, especially the blues and the rhythm changes forms in Charlie Parker's compositions, there's there's a scent of the blues scales. I think he was explaining his approach, and in one of his jam sessions, he started to hear some kind of relationships, but he couldn't play them. That's why he practiced 15 hours a day to get that level. And also that level is explained in the tension notes: sharp 9, flat 9, sharp 11, flat 13. Okay, I mean, when we have the tension explanations, it makes sense. There is no question about that relation. But what about the culture? I mean, he has the ability to hear something, and also he has a kind of accumulation of the heritage, and he transformed that language into new style, but still we have the sense of heritage. This is blues. This is one side. The other side about the bebop improvisation, Miles Davis said that in one of his interviews. He says Charlie was going to play like this because his father was a tap dancer. Another thing, and also in our first improvisation video, I was trying to explain the importance of the rhythmic approach. When you take this, like when you have these 2 aspects of Charlie Parker's approach, you can get the real shape and you can get the meaningful contact with the culture. The first one is blues, the other one is the rhythmic side of the bebop language. But before that, I'll explain the chromatic approach technique. It's very, I mean, you can find anywhere in like digital platforms and books, but it's a very limited explanation about the colors of the bebop language, because it sounds very like abstract. I mean, it sounds very out of the context, but it works. I mean, I practiced them, and also when I was playing in terms of technical capacity, in terms of technical relationships, it's that creates kind of illusion that you feel okay, I can play jazz. No. and I started from the beginning again. Then I was trying to find real contact, authentic contact about the relationship. But I will explain how I built the bridge about the culture. But let's explain the chromatic approach technique, and then I will explain the blues-oriented approach technique. Okay, typical chromatic approach technique. You take the chord tones. For example, let's start with the C major chord tones. We have C, E, G, and B, right? Then you apply the chromatic, double chromatic or single chromatic approach for each note. For example, what I have here, I want to apply double chromaticism here. And then here, I just want to use just one chromaticism here. Again, I want to use the double chromaticism here. And the last one, I want to use one chromatic approach. And at the end of the operation, you can use 8 notes for each of the notes. Then you can use 2-5-1 as your main structure, main chord progression. We have D minor 7 here, we have G dominant 7 here, and we have C major 7. Okay, let's hear the line first. Okay, it sounds like that. I start from the high register. According to register, I will adjust the directions, the octave adjustment, or I change the direction about the lines. Okay, and this is. Okay, it's very good, right? Okay, let's hear with 2-5-1. Okay, and it sounds like bebop, right? But I will show an alternative approach, and then you will get the sense of culture in a deeper level. But before applying the blues scale, let me explain what blues scale is. You can imagine blues scale as a mixolydian mode, because when you look at the blues form, it's actually modal. It has modal structure. It's based on mixolydian. And when you analyze the tunes of blues form, and let's analyze the blues form first, and I will show how much interrelated with the blues scale, how much interrelated form and the blues scale are. And this is F dominant 7, B flat dominant 7, and again F dominant 7. We have B flat dominant 7, B diminished 7, then we have F dominant 7, and we have 2-5, and then G minor 7, and C dominant 7, and we have F dominant 7. Okay, let's analyze the chord progressions according to F blues scale. F, G, A flat, A, B flat, B, and C, D, E flat. Okay, but when you have the reference for mixolydian, there are two notes have a very special function to create blues scale. Let's hear the blues scale. And let's hear the mixolydian. And we can analyze the blues scale as mixolydian plus flat 3 and sharp 4. Flat 3, sharp 4. Okay, according to blues scale, this is blues scale. I mean, I don't like to have different kinds of blues scale, like major and minor. I think that that's a kind of compound scale of blues form. I mean, you can get the minor blues here, you can get the major blues, but I think in terms of the melodic relationship, that scale fits perfectly with the cultural reference, which is blues form. Okay, and let's analyze the chord progressions according to blues scale. This is 1 dominant 7. Yes, we have F dominant 7 because we have F, A, C, and E flat. We have B flat dominant 7, B flat, D, F, A flat. Then we have 4 dominant 7. Again, we 1 dominant 7, for dominant 7, sharp 4, diminished 7. Let's see the source. We have B, D, F, A flat. This is sharp 4. Then again, we have 1, dominant 7. Okay, we have a tonicization of 2 minor 7. We have G minor 7. And when you look at the scale, we have G, B flat, D, and F. That's why this is our 2 minor. This is 5, 7. We have Do, and this is there's just only one chord, and that creates a kind of the cadential function, not in terms of the modal relationship. That's why we have the 5, 7, and that creates our blues form. That one is a kind of cadential, but rest of the, except for C dominant 7, rest of the chords are compatible with the blues scale. And that's why I call the blues form as modal song form. Because of that reason, when you want to analyze the song form, especially sometimes you get confused about it is tonal, it is modal, especially Charlie Parker find a way to find a way to impose blues scale into the tonal context. The only chord, the structural dominant 7th chord helped him to make it happen. This is very important. And by means of dominant resolution, he has a space to use the blues scale, because blues scale, the main chord structure in the blues form is dominant 7th chord. Okay, this is our main blues form. And what about the improvisation on the basis of blues scale? Let's go back to 2-5-1 relationship, and I will show the chromatic relation on the basis of the blues scale. Let's write our 2-5-1 in the key of F, G minor 7, and C dominant 7, F dominant 7. And also, I want to use the blues scale to create the chromatic line for that progression. For example, I just want to have this F, A flat, G, and C, B, B flat, and A, and then we have C and Do. Let's put 8 notes, 8-note value for each one. Let's hear the sound. It sounds like this. Let's hear the sound of line first. Again. Okay, let's hear with the chords. Okay, try to remember the first line. Which one is more authentic? Which one sounds more close to the culture, the heritage? I think that one is very special color because of having the blues scale or blues scale source. But yes, the next thing about the bebop improvisation, I think the revolutionary side of the bebop improvisation is coming from the fact that the dominant chords has a very special function. Okay, let's analyze the relationship. When we have the 2-5-1, the structural chord here, dominant 7, right? And because of the connection between the blues scale and dominant chords, you can have the blues scale on the basis of 5 dominant 7, which is C dominant 7. Let's write C blues. C, D, E, flat, E, and F, F sharp, G, A, B flat. This is C blues. Okay, then I want to have new line for 2-5-1 on F dominant 7. Okay, I will use the C blues scale for my 2-5-1 here, and I just want to use, I want to start with C. I want to be very straight about the line, no leaps. Let's listen to that line first. This is. Okay, let's hear with 2-5-1. Yes, that creates more dissonant sound, right? But because of the blues scale influence, but you can have the, I mean, even though compared to F blues scale, it has a kind of the common ground to use this. And when you look at, especially when you analyze the Charlie Parker's improvisation and some of his songs, compositions, you can see that relationship. But of course, we can say that this is one chromatic approach. This is kind of double chromaticism. It works, but that line gives more culturally oriented sound, not like the mathematical relation, just short-sighted mathematical relationship. I want to go further about that relationship. For example, we used blues that belongs to 5 dominant 7, but also because of again blues influence, you can use the 4th dominant 7 as a blues scale, and you can apply the same 2-5-1 progression, and you will get the more, you will enrich your vocabulary to use chromaticism, but also you can have the same ground, which is blues. That's why it's not more consistent, even though you have a lot of chromatic notes. This is the most important thing about the Charlie Parker's improvisation. When I saw that relationship, then all lines make sense about my perception. Again, I can have real connection between thinking and listening. Because of that reason, if your analysis, if your analysis is restricted to like conceptual and the connection about the structure, then you miss the very important, very structurally important point, that you miss the very crucial part of the tradition, that is sound. I mean, this is more important side of that relationship. Okay, let's apply the B flat blues scale for this 2-5-1. Okay, we have B flat, C, D flat, D, E flat, E, F, G, and A flat. And this is our flat 3. This is our sharp 4, right? I will use just the straight form of this line to get the clear shape about the melodic structure. I start with B flat, C, D flat, D. Then I change the direction, G, F, E, E flat, then D and C. This is our 8 notes. Okay, I'll play the line first. Okay, with 2-5-1. Again. Okay, this is another form of chromatic approach. I take the reference for 4 dominant 7. I took the reference from 4 dominant 7. I used the blues scale for 4 dominant 7 as my line for the 2-5-1. And we have again the blues scale influence, but you don't need to analyze your lines in terms of chromatic relationship. When you have that kind of approach, and then also it will be very easy for you to memorize the lines. It will be that sound give you a more instinctual reference. And then when you start to analyze on the base of that relationship, first, you have to think less materials. 2, and also you can have very strong relationship with rhythmic sides, because when you have less information, then your instinctual relationship gets more comfortable. And the third one, also you can have more formal awareness, and that creates a good, very comfortable space for you to move in your ensemble. Okay, I mean, this is the main idea about bebop improvisation. You can apply them to rhythm changes form, and also you will see when you analyze on the base of these relationships, you will see the same approaches in different chord structures. And let me play F blues for you, and I'll play these chords on the base of factorial rhythm. Again, I mean, rhythm is in everywhere. You cannot escape from rhythm If you want to have the good improvisational skill, again, you have to have very authentic relationship with rhythm. Okay, let's use this knowledge for our blues form. I'll explain each line separately for you on the basis of this information. Okay, I'll play the first line, F blues. Second line, first 2 bars, B flat blues. Then last 2 bars, F blues. Then the third line, C blues. Then it goes back to F blues again. And when you have that vocabulary, you don't need too much about the chromatic approaches because it has already chromatic approach, but on the basis of blues scale. Then it gives you more direction about how to develop your rhythmic and melodic vocabulary in an authentic way. And in the next video, we will talk about the contemporary approaches in jazz improvisation. And I developed language on the basis of inversional symmetry and also pentatonic structures and hexatonic structures. And see you in the next video.